Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems, and want to welcome you here this afternoon. It is right up at the top of the hour at 3 p.m. Central Time. So, again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We want to be able to get right into the webinar today because today we're going to talk to you about the doctors that need help. And we want you and try to position you the best that we can just today to be the solution for those doctors. Patrick and I, in this particular webinar, are really going to take our time and share with you some of the most recent articles that we have found as we've scoured the internet on really what's going on with the doctors and their income and how everything else is going along. So again, today we're going to be talking about doctors need help, be the solution. Hopefully you'll see how that can actually maybe benefit you, but more importantly, benefit the doctors as well. So again, my name is Eric Auger. A lot of you have already know who I am. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at American Business Systems. But part of me introducing myself, I really want to introduce American Business Systems because ABS has been around for 22 years. When you're looking at a business opportunity of any sort, you want to certainly look at the longevity of it and the strength behind it. First of all, what we want to do is talk to you real quickly about your possibility of plugging into the largest network, and we're serious about this, the largest network of medical billing companies that are powered by American Business Systems, and why this decision, you being a part of ABS, could be the best decision that you make, just like these folks that we're showing here on the screen for you right now. Folks, these are people that are literally all over the country, all different types of people, all different even education backgrounds, some that have gone to college, some may not have gone to college, some that have been very high in their executive careers, and some that are just like all of us who are just scratching out to be entrepreneurs. So folks, we truly are helpful in helping other people just like yourself get involved in the medical billing business. And again, we want to, again, take our time today to make sure that you get as much as you can about how we are and who we are here at American Business Systems. And again, for 22 years, we have been building upon every platform that we have, starting with iClaim, going to EMRX, and then the rest of the platforms that you see here right in the middle of the screen here. And some of these we'll talk a little bit about. We're not going to go into a lot of detail about these, but obviously as we are trying to identify some of the problems that doctors are going through, we obviously need to make sure that we have a good selection and a good solution for them. So I want you to sit back today and think about how we're approaching today. We're really approaching it a little bit different way in the fact that let's say that we're actually examining a doctor as a doctor would examine us if we go to the doctor and we say, hey doctor, we have a pain here, or we have a pain there, or I've got a headache, and the doctor goes in through their examination. So somewhat that's what we're doing today, and that's again what we've been doing here for 22 years at American Business Systems. Folks, as you're looking to get into any type of business, obviously you need to go to the resources that are stable. The Better Business Bureau being one of those there. And yes, we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. That doesn't come because we paid them. It comes because we're servicing our ABS licensees. And if you'll go to the Fort Worth Better Business Bureau, you'll find that there are many reviews that are going on there almost every week now on the Better Business Bureau about our services and our support that goes along with that. So please go check us out there on the Better Business Bureau and look us up there, still having our A+ rating. For those that are looking seriously to get involved in this business, we actually want you, more than just attending our webinars, but give you the opportunity to come by our office here at 5751 Kroger Drive here in Keller, Texas, which is actually Fort Worth, Texas. I think this week we've got a few folks that are actually coming in this week already to come by and visit with us. So schedule your visit. We know it's important. We know that the investment is not just one just to sneeze about, so to say. So if you're going to seriously look at getting in this business, you might want to take your time, come by and visit with us. We'd be happy to be able to visit with you today, which is Patrick Phillips. A lot of you recognize who Patrick is, but let me just kind of share a little bit about him for those that are first timers actually on any of our webinars. But Patrick is the founder and the CEO of American Business Systems. That actually he and his wife started, again, just a little over 22 years ago. He was a former Apple executive when Apple was actually here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He is also a best-selling author. He's got 2 books, Cash Crunch to Cash Flow and How to Reprogram Yourself for Success. He's actually coming out with a brand new book that's going to be a co-author with a doctor that works with us and is on our advisory board here, coming out with a new book that's coming up here shortly. Nationally recognized motivational speaker, and more importantly, what I think is that he's actually on the editorial board of the Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. That carries a lot of weight there because, folks, this magazine just doesn't go to ABS licensees or medical billing companies, but this is a service, a real printed magazine that actually goes out to hundreds, if not thousands, of medical billing companies throughout the United States. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask Patrick to go ahead and join us here this afternoon via his webcam there as well. Patrick, good to have you here, and I know this is going to be an exciting webinar that we're going to do today.
Yeah, this is really the key question that people should be asking. If you get into medical billing, why would the doctors need you? I mean, they could do it themselves, right? Some of them do. Boy, that doctor sure looks like she needs some help, doesn't she? She's worried about something there. I think this is the key right here. What is it that causes us to even have a business? Is it a credible business, or is this just a fad? There's a lot of business opportunities and franchises and things out there on the internet. And of course, we wouldn't have been around for 22 years had we not been real. But the point is that some people don't really grasp how desperate the doctors are for help in this area.
Right. I'm going to put this first slide here that we just found. And again, everybody should be able to see the date there. It says February the 8th, 2016. But Patrick, you and I were talking about this particular article right now. And everybody can understand. If you'll look there at the very bottom, I'm just going to draw your attention to the very bottom. You'll see that it's coming from a real website. You can write it down there, pull it up, or just type in what it takes get paid your medical practice. Patrick, let's talk about this. What in the world is it taking for doctors to get paid in their medical practice?
Oh man, it's like I used to have my grandfather said, it's like pulling hen's teeth.
Right.
Hens don't have teeth, so that's pretty tough. But like this article says, well, let me just kind of read from it here. You can see it there on your screen. I know it's hard to read for some of you, but it says many practices feel powerless when it comes to sustaining their practice revenue. Anecdotally, physicians will tell you that payer reimbursements, that's the payments they get from the insurance company and from Medicare, are barely keeping pace with practice expenses. And there are many new demands to contend with, such as high deductible health plans. That's the new Affordable Care Act. That's not so affordable after all. The new ICD-10 coding system and pressure to meet new federal quality care mandates. With such tight margins, small independent medical practices can find themselves struggling to stay afloat. Now, let me point out, Eric, this is not you. This is not me. We didn't write this. This is out there on the web that any of you can go and verify that it came out, about a week ago?
Yeah, just over a week ago. And, it's just amazing. And obviously, there's a lot out there. And, folks, you just got to know where to look. So, again, that's why we're, pointing you to some of these areas already on the internet that you can go take a look at. But and there's a lot that's being said here in this one little paragraph that you just read, Patrick, and I want to, again, kind of draw some more attention to some of the things. But what struck me is that we've got men and women who have dedicated their lives to helping us stay healthy. Let's just think of it that way. That's their dedication.
Yeah.
Obviously, they know that they're going to make a good living out of it. So there are rewards to go along with that when that goes along. But that second line there, where it talks about that physicians will tell you that payer reimbursements, that's payers for those that are first timers on here, that's the insurance company. So we could actually say the insurance reimbursements are barely keeping pace with the practice expenses. And there are a lot of new demands to contend with, such as, again, the high deductible health plans. And as Patrick just mentioned, that's the Affordable Care Act, or what we know as Obamacare. Whether we like it or not, whether it'll actually get repealed or not, this is what the doctors are faced with today. Patrick, it's amazing to me to know that, you and I both know that we talk to doctors, and it's just hard for us to imagine that some of these doctors are going to even be able to keep their doors open.
Well, people don't realize the expenses either. I think we have a chart a little bit later in the webinar where we compare what it costs a doctor in-house to do their billing, but it is astronomical. And Eric, that's on top of the $250,000 that it took the doctor to get through medical school and start his own practice. They're in debt, to start with. So they're trying to pay that down. Plus, they're trying to keep up with all the latest equipment, their staff as their
Right.
practice grows. All of those expenses, they're just overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's amazing that you and I know someone very close to both of us that we know that's doing some billing. That she told both of us here just recently that she can call Medicare one day, one month, get one answer, and then the next month a claim doesn't get paid because Medicare has changed it. How in the world do doctors even keep up with that unless there's someone that's dedicated to just doing that reimbursement part of it? Some of those doctors would never know, and they would go they would be seeing patients without ever getting paid, and that's what we know. You and I know that. That's what actually happens to a lot of doctors.
Well, the sad part is that the doctors do see checks come in, on a regular basis from various insurance
Right.
companies and Medicare. So they are getting some money in. So they think, oh, everything must be fine. Our billing must be in great shape. When really they may be only collecting, 65 or 70% of what's really due to them.
Right. That reminds me. We ought to show a Medicare check in an upcoming webinar, and you'll see, folks, you'll see a pretty big amount there. But what you don't see is what didn't get paid. Like Patrick said, there could be another 30% that could have gotten paid on that big Medicare check. And right, the doctors keep seeing those checks come in, but what they see and what you may not be seeing right now is the decline on how every single month and year that used to be one bigger check. Now it's starting to dwindle down
Yeah,
just because of some
they
of the
might
things
get a
that are
check
going
for
on.
$30,000, let's say. Well, what they don't know
Right.
is that their staff billed Medicare for $50,000. So
Right.
they're losing money there and don't even know it. And of course, at the end of the year, when they look at all their books, they go, I'll just write that off on my taxes. Well, they'd much rather have that in their bank account, believe me.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of people have asked Patrick because a lot of people know that just last year the ICD-10 went into effect on October 1, and we talked heavily about that because we said, for those that were getting into the medical billing with us back then, says, take advantage of this window of opportunity that's coming up there in October of 2015. But in this article, and everybody can see today's date, and when we're talking about today, this article came out and says why ICD-10 preparation did not end October 1. Folks, the doctors are going through this entire year doing the best that they can because come October 10 this year, those screws will really be put down on making sure that they're using the right codes.
Yeah, so let's go back just a little bit. ICD-10, that's referring to the International Classification of Diseases. It's a set of codes. Everything that is done wrong with the human body is coded by the World Health Organization. And of course, they were using ICD-10. Well, October 1st of last year, the new codes came into effect, the ICD-10, and Erica went from 17,000 to 65,000 or something. It was just a tremendous increase in the number of codes because now there's a code for every little thing that could possibly, one of them is if you catch fire while you're on water skis and get
right.
There's a code for that. So it's incredible what they did. But the point is that Medicare has been fairly lax since last October on these codes. If the doctor is using the wrong one, it's okay. They still get paid sometimes. But coming this October 1st, 1 year later, they're saying, nope, it's got to be the exact right code. Well, doctors can't keep up with this kind of stuff. They got too much going on in the office. And as you'll see, we have the solution to that because our cloud-based system has all those codes built into it.
Patrick, I mentioned to you earlier, I think today, that I actually did a demo of our iClaim system with some licensees yesterday for their doctor that's out in California.
Yeah.
And this doctor is a very well-known doctor out there in California in that particular area, and very much on the cutting edge on the things that he's doing already. One of the things that he wanted me to show him was how our system actually helps him code. And I promise you, because I got it recorded, I'm going to share that with you, Patrick, but it is so cool to hear that doctor go, wow, that's what I've been looking for.
Yeah, I've kind of heard pieces of that from recordings of the demos that we do. And we'll get into that a little bit later, folks, but we do the demos of our system so the doctors can see what you are offering to them. So we do those for you and for the doctor, and it's amazing to hear that. Yeah. Hey, we're already getting questions in, Eric. This is good. I'm glad people found the question box, and I'm going to just address one here because Tim says you don't have to answer this live if you don't want to. But he says, how do you keep people working at American Business Systems? Why don't they all just become business owners? That's a great question, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm gonna let you answer that one if you want to.
Because Eric knows that I have basically told everybody that works for us, look, our business is helping and supporting and training and teaching and hand-holding people who get into this business. It's not something that people who actually work for our company can get into if they're an employee. So we just do that on purpose, and we pay them well enough to where they don't care.
There you go. So Tim, hopefully that answered your question there. Patrick, this article, again, I hope everybody's keeping up with what we've been saying so far. This is actually coming from the Healthcare Finance News. I apologize for not putting the website there, but you can go find Susan Morris, and you will find her at Healthcare Finance News. Here's the title of it. Contemplating the cycle. Healthcare finance execs see 2016 as the year of integration for revenue cycle. So what we're talking about here, that there are a lot of high ups, and this is more, if you're thinking, you can see people from Mayo Clinic, from Kaiser, from the Cleveland Clinic. Other people are saying, patient involvement is the key. So what's happening here is that this is the year for doctors and clinics and even major hospitals trying to find a one-stop solution that will have their billing, practice management, their EHR, their patient portals, and their clearinghouses all together. And that's why we wanted to put this up here, because it's poised for us to go into 2016 as the year of integrating the revenue cycle management.
And of course, as you guys will see, if you ask for a demo, we'll do a demo for you too, the folks like yourself who are looking at getting into our business. And when we go through that demo, you'll see that it's all tightly integrated. Not only do we have our own clearinghouse that's built in, the practice management system tied in with the electronic health record system, and then we have a patient portal that ties in with all that. So we are truly totally integrated, all with one system. It's not just pieced together with this piece of software and that from another company and this and that. It's all one system, and that's why we have the solution for this exact thing that people are looking to do here.
Absolutely. As you'll see here, we are still faced. And again, Patrick, didn't you just tell me today that one of the most recent things that you did finally see, even with the Affordable Care Act, that there's still 30 million uninsured Americans out there?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's not near the participation that they thought it would be, but it still presses the doctors because now they have to deal with those extra 10 million or whatever it is that are a part of it.
And there's still a shortage of doctors. I mean, as much as we think there is, I mean, going into 2016, there's still going to be a large shortage of doctors, which means that, more Americans needing help, less doctors. That puts more of a pressure up on the doctors that are actually seeing the patients.
This poor doctor here looks like he's already seen 42 patients today, and now he's got to see another 30.
But Patrick, what we know is that this is the way doctors feel at the end of the day, and this is this is what doctors are feeling like at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I just talked with a licensee who said that they were helping a doctor who this lady actually goes home, and after a good 12-hour day, she's at home doing her notes because she doesn't have a system like ours, and she has to do it all manually. And so she's actually writing and typing all these notes in for all of her patients at the end of the day, like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. She doesn't have a life.
Right. Doesn't have a life. We can certainly understand that.
And this kind of points this out, folks. Look at it this way. Doctors need to focus on what they're good at, what they were trained to do, which is to help patients get well, not deal with the administrative and billing stuff. That's something they should turn over to an expert, and we can make you an expert in this business.
One of the other key challenges, again, and we're sticking just basically with the Affordable Care Act here, again, some of the key challenges are declining reimbursements remain the top threat for physicians' profitability. And that's why we put up there, as you can see down there at the bottom, that some of the doctors see that a lot of their declining reimbursements are occurring because of each of these things that are going on here. Patrick, again, with everything that doctors are faced with, again, I'm not sure how they're sustaining, even maintaining a life of their own outside of just trying to make sure that they're getting paid.
I agree, and I think this quote here is a great one, Eric, and I think it came from Black Book Research. I think their website's blackbookrankings.com.
Right.
Anyway, look what it says here. Let's zoom in on this kind of and show people what it says. Declining reimbursements remains the top threat to physician profitability. And rising costs. Those are the top two challenges again this year. But the transition to ICD-10 replaced the Affordable Care Act at number 3 of their concerns. More than half of the physicians identified ICD-10 as a factor weighing down profitability, and 3 in 5 expressed doubts about their readiness for it. So they're still not ready for it, Eric.
Right. I'm looking over there are questions over here, and I'm gonna jump to one that's actually a little bit lower there. And Jessica, you were asking that you're already in medical billing, and you're wanting to know if we're going to be talking about how we're going to help you acquire new clients. That's what we're preparing you for. So if you want to hang in there, just hang in there through here, and you're going to see how we're going to take all of this information that Patrick and I are sharing with you right now, of how this is actually going to help anybody that's in medical billing, getting involved in medical billing. This is what it's all about. So if folks can kind of read between the lines here, what we're doing here is positioning everyone of what it's going to take to actually get you out there and start building a clientele. Because knowing what these issues are, plus knowing what your solutions can be, this is positioning just properly for helping you get clients. One other thing that I wanted to bring out here is another thing from the American Medical Association. And Patrick, when they come out with something like this, they're warning that physicians will get stuck with bills from patients who take advantage of these medical services during that time but fail to pay premiums. Now, this should not be a shocker to anybody that's on the call today. When people sign up to get on the Affordable Care Act, it's that person's responsibility to pay that premium. Remember, these people are probably not employed by someone, or they're self-employed, and it's not like a lot of people who work for an employer where your employer is paying your premiums every month. It's maybe coming out of your check, but your employer is making that premium payment every month. On the Affordable Care Act, on the Obamacare, what we know of that's left up to the individual. So if that individual doesn't pay next month's premiums, they're no longer eligible, this is what the AMA is saying, that these doctors are going to get stuck with these bills from these patients. Basically, they're seeing patients for free.
Yeah, I mean, the patients may even be on some sort of a database somewhere that they did sign up for the ACA. So when they walk in, the nurse checks that and says, "Oh yeah, they're." But that doesn't mean that they paid the premiums. So when the doctor files with the government to get paid and reimbursed, they're denied because the person hadn't paid the premiums. They didn't know that at the time.
Exactly. That's exactly correct. Patrick, I'm going to let you take this one because this is one that you like to address, especially because we get a lot of people asking, well, if a lot of these doctors are faced with these issues, they're probably running to go join these hospitals. You want to take this one because this is important to know.
Yeah, we get this question a lot about, there are doctors who are being bought up by the hospitals and they go to work for a hospital. Now, what happens though is that these doctors who've been used to being their own boss, working for themselves, now become employees and they have to put in exactly the hours that the hospital requires. They have to do the tasks that the hospital tasks them to do each day. They have to see the number of patients they ask them to see, and they only get paid what the hospital thinks they're worth. Plus, they can't take off when they'd like to. They have to take off, just like any employee would. So the bottom line is, folks, that joining the hospital system is not a solution for doctors, and a lot of them are recognizing that. In fact, Eric, we've heard stories of doctors who've gone to work for hospitals. Then they decide, this is not for me. I'm going back into private practice. And at that point, they realize that they've lost their patients because they turn those patients over to the hospital. The hospital owns those patients at that point.
Yeah, that means they're starting from scratch all over again. So for any of us that are on the call today and you're looking to get in the business, think about this. Think that you had your own business, you had all your clientele, you joined in a group, but you decide, I'm going to get out of that group. You start all back over again. You don't get to bring your clients back over. That's what's happening. That is exactly what's happened with doctors here. And it is a big decision. Some doctors just say, look, I know that. I'm going to do it. I'm tired of the headaches. I'm just going to go do that. And some doctors stay. But most doctors who are just like yourself, they're entrepreneurs themselves. They'll get in there for a year or 2 years and they decide, forget this. I'm going back to private practice. I'm going to go do my own thing. And that's usually what happens there. Exactly what happens there.
Yeah. Eric,
all right.
You mentioned my book earlier. I'm just going to give people kind of a little quick preview of it.
Sure.
It's not quite out in print yet, but we've got a preliminary copy here. And as you can see, it's called The New Thriving Medical Practice. The subtitle here is How to Get Off the Hamster Wheel, Work Smarter, Not Harder, Generate More Revenue, and Enjoy Greater Satisfaction in the Era of the Affordable Care Act. Now, remember, this is written by a doctor who used to outsource her billing, and now she recommends that that's what doctors do. And we're going to solve that problem that we see here on the screen. We're going to help doctors to stay in practice and not feel like they have to go to work for a hospital somewhere. They just don't know how to manage. Eric, they're the worst business people in the world.
They really are. In fact, I almost threw up an article for this one. I found one that was an article that actually said that. But, we don't want to kick doctors down when they're already down already. But
by the way, we've had doctors come through our training to become licensees. They've decided to get out of the medical practice, at least the clinical side of it, and get into this side of it because there's more money in this side for some of them. And they've told us, they've agreed in that class. You're right, Patrick. All the doctors I know are not good business people because they don't look at it as a business. They look at it as a practice, whatever that is.
Of course.
Yeah.
That is exactly correct. So we're finally at the bottom of the hour, and folks, this is the first time we've introduced anything here that we have here at ABS. Everything that we've done so far has basically been just really what the doctors are going through. And we all know when we go to the doctor's just dealing with what our problems are and figuring out before they actually start to think about maybe any test or anything else that we might need. And so basically, folks, we're at the bottom of the hour, and that's what we're finally getting into is we want you, and you can be the solution for these doctors and apply whatever might be the fix for the doctor. In a lot of cases, it could just be the billing. It could be choice pay there in the middle. It could be the quick collect. And we're going to kind of talk a little bit about each one of these as we kind of go through here. But Patrick, do you want to say anything else about any of these solutions and maybe any solutions that might be coming up here soon?
Well, let me just say this. The reason we have all these solutions, folks, and it's not just medical billing, is because our licensees out there in the field years ago started running into different cash flow challenges that the doctors were facing. So we developed all these solutions that you see here to answer all of those. So you become not just a medical biller, but what we refer to as a certified medical revenue manager. And so we're going to go into detail on each one of these. But first, Eric, I want everybody to get ready. Whatever you do on your computer to take a screenshot, this is the slide that you need to capture. Show this to your spouse or partner who wonders whether this is a good business to get into. Because Eric, this one, what is this? Is a quote from physicianspractice.com. It's only a little over a month old, right?
This in December of last year, so just maybe 45, 50 days ago.
Yeah. And so let's start with that underline section there. I'm going to have to blow up my screen so I can see it here. Okay, so let me just start with the first whole paragraph. Battling declining reimbursements and rising operating costs, many physicians are feeling pressure to rein in expenses. However, now get this, Eric, you would think that you and I wrote this, wouldn't you? Look at this. Paying a third party to manage the revenue cycle is one cost that can actually improve your bottom line. Now, folks, let that sink in a moment. This is a website for doctors. And the writer here is telling the doctors that just paying somebody else to handle the billing is probably going to increase your bottom line. That means they're going to make more money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the rest of the quote here is from this John Boland. And Patrick, why don't you go ahead and take the rest of this, because I mean, you would have thought that, again, you or I or anybody here at ABS would have written this.
Yeah, he says the greater the economic pressure on a practice, the more valuable outsourcing becomes. Now, folks, you're the outsourced solution. We train you to actually do and take over the billing for the doctor. And that's what he's talking about. Outsourcing billing processes should ultimately reduce the cost of collections and maximize revenue, allowing a practice to invest in clinical resources and get better quality results. In other words, they'll have more money at the end of the month to spend on things like new equipment and new tests and all those things that are go on in a doctor's office. So there you go, folks. John Boland, we didn't say it, he did.
Yeah, and that's the webinar. Everybody go out and go do what you need to go do. Go build your business.
Yeah.
Because truly, folks, that really is that's a great quote. And again, everybody, if I were in your shoes, I'd be logging into physicianspractice.com, whatever that is, right there, and figure out and listen to what's happening. Because again, this information is truly going directly to physicians, and a lot of these websites that we've directed you to, you can sign up for their blog, and they're pushing this information out. So you can get these directly right into your email. So as you're thinking and as you're building, you're going to know the pain points that doctors are actually going through here. And in the New England Journal of Medicine, this is an older quote, but it's been within the last 24 months or so. But they've come out saying that it's estimated that 24 cents out of every dollar are wasted on administrative and billing expenses. I've got two that's in there, so y'all forgive me for my having two that's.
I didn't even catch that. Okay, so here's what it boils down to: 24 cents out of every dollar. Eric, think about that. Goes to administrative and billing expenses. Let's say that even half of that is just administrative stuff in general, and 12% is the billing expense. The point is, guys, you can charge a whole lot less than 12% and still make an executive income in this business. If you charged even 6%, half of that, you could be making some big money. On 6% on $100,000 a month billing for a doctor is $6,000. So you don't need a whole lot of clients to make a pretty good income in this business.
No, not at all. And again, if folks, if you again kind of let these numbers sink in, because this is just going to be one of several numbers that we're showing you. Because what Patrick is saying is true. We're thinking that whenever the doctor's asking you, well, what are you going to charge me to do my billing? And we've heard on average it's anywhere from 6 to 7, and it could be as high as 8%. But some doctors just freak out when you say 5%. But yet they're probably paying 24% already.
Right.
24%. They don't even know it until you, through the teaching and training of American Business Systems, learn how to do a serious practice analysis and do a real due diligence with that doctor. that's where you'll discover that you're going to get really close to that number, finding out really how much you're wasted on administrative costs and billing expenses there.
All right. Hey, Amos is asking a couple of questions here. I'm going to kind of address both of them. He says,
Sure.
did the clinic still need to post the charges and do the coding? Well, Amos, when you bring up the coding, by the way, the doctors are the ones that provide the codes for you. However, we do have certified medical coders, as we'll show here in just a moment, that can help you with those coding services. So yes, they post the payments as they come in, or they can outsource that to you. So the second part of his question is, do you just augment the billing, or is it totally outsourced? That's up to the doctor's office. When we show you how to do the free practice analysis for the doctor, you'll find out whether they want you to take over every aspect of it or just a part of it.
Now, this is, and I grabbed a really bad clipping of this, but this is from U.S. News, the new family doctor, Dr. Vern Cherwatiko.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name.
Yeah. But again, he's basically saying the same thing. He's talking about 20%. If we look at this, it's costing him $20 in administrative fees just to collect. Between the person that bills, the computer system, the ongoing support, it costs about $20 per claim. We know on average every claim is worth about $100.
Yeah, and if you ask a doctor, well, what do you think it cost you to file that insurance claim? They might even say, oh, I don't know, a couple of bucks. What they don't figure in, of course, are all the overhead costs of tracking that and making sure it gets paid, following up. It's all the overhead of the staff and their benefits and so forth. And again, we've got a chart here, I think, coming up to show that. So
let's look at that.
No, people don't dream it's $20 a claim. Oh yeah, here it is right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's an example. This is 20 claims per day that a doctor is billing at about $100 a piece. And let's say that you're charging the 6% that we mentioned earlier. Now, remember, that varies depending on the doctor. We can help you with the pricing, but that's pretty average out there. That means the doctor would be paying you $31,300 to do his billing. Now, look at what the doctor costs to do that when he has 1.5 full-time billing employees at $15 an hour. There's $46,800 just in salary.
Right, just right there.
Yeah, then you got payroll taxes, workers' comp, errors and omissions insurance, training, leave coverage, employee benefits package, and all the hardware, software, and IT support to keep up their own software and computers. And folks, the doctor could be out of pocket spending $65,000 compared to the $31,200 that you would charge him. From a business standpoint, bottom line, it doesn't even make sense for a doctor to do it themselves. But
right,
you need to be educated. That's all, and that's what we teach you to do, is help educate them.
Exactly, and we know that the doctor may not incur all of these costs, but this is average. This is pretty much average, at least. How many people it takes to actually do billing in a doctor's office versus, at least the payroll taxes. If you just took the first two right there, we're talking at least, it's $50,000.
Yeah.
And so that compared to what they could be paying you at 6% is a heck of a lot cheaper for that doctor, and again, more beneficial for you as well.
Okay, so here's a question from Sachin that has to do with that chart.
Sure.
It says, I am new to this. However, I have seen that there are a lot of medical billing and coding courses, which would mean that there are resources available to the doctor. Why would they hire an outside entity when this can be done in-house? Well, the chart, they typed that in, of course, obviously, before we got to this chart. Bottom line is there's no need for them to take courses and learn all that and keep up with the coding when our system can do it all for them at, less than half the price.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad you caught that, Patrick, because that's you get asked that. Why doesn't the doctor just do billing in their own house?
Right.
Again, here let's also say this. This is the other little caveat to this. People that work for a doctor, they are called what? Employees. They're going to make $15 an hour whether that doctor gets any more money or not.
That's right.
However, on your side, since you're billing at a percentage, you're going to try to find every single penny that doctor can get. So there's more than an incentive for you to find more money than it is for an employee at $15 an hour, because they're going to get their paycheck whether the doctor, whether that claim goes through or not.
Right.
On your side, if that claim doesn't go through, that's less money that you're going to be able to invoice for at the end of the month. You're not going to let that happen. That's another reason why it's beneficial for doctors to go out and outsource.
Good point, Eric. The staff to the staff, the pay's the same no matter what they bring in.
Exactly. So now we're going to talk to you just real briefly, and then look at the clock. We're already at 17 minutes till. We got to get going here, but we're going to try to just briefly show you some of the solutions. Again, what's going to help these doctors? Claims are going to get paid faster through iClaim, and the reason is because everything's in real time. Folks that are on here on the call today, a lot of you might even already know what a clearinghouse is, but our clearinghouse is actually built inside of iClaim, so we're literally doing things in real-time access all the time, real-time analytics. It's all web-based, and a considerable lower claims rejection. I've got to bring this out, Patrick. I told you yesterday that I did a demo for one of our licensees, and that particular doctor's office, very well-known, very high-end type of doctor, their rejection rate was 38%. And that
38%. Now, well, we've heard from, we do have quotes from, the past president of the Healthcare Billing and Management Association that says, it could be up to 35%. So 38% is really not unusual, but the doctor probably doesn't dream. I mean, if you ask the doctor, they'd probably, I don't know, we probably have, 5 or 10% rejection rate. They don't really know. That's just it.
They don't know, but utilizing a system as well as iClaim has been put together, everything being real time, doctors can look at this, analyze. They can go to the claim status dashboard when they want to just track where every claim is going to. This is one of the things that's helping at least our ABS licensees separate themselves from everybody else.
Yeah, and this question from Amos is kind of tied in with this. He says, you mentioned that you have a practice management system. This is it right here, iClaim. Do you interface with all EHR systems so that the coding and the superbill flow into your billing software? Well, it's even better than that, Amos. We have our own EHR system, as you'll see here in just a moment. We call it EMRX, and it is a part of our system. There was another question about ours somehow integrating with other systems that are out there. And folks, yes, you can integrate our iClaim practice management system with other EHR systems. Now, there's usually a fee for that because there's some coding that has to go on behind the scenes by our programmers. But the point is, it can interface with anything that's out there practically.
And this does somewhat answer your question, Amos, because it is 100% integrated. It does simplify the workflow. There are no paper or super bills to transmit, and literally can be accessed just from anywhere. So that, a lot of people ask, does it have e-prescribing? Of course, that's one of the first fundamental parts of any EHR system that there's out there, that it actually does e-prescribing. And this is just a quick little screenshot of the way that it looks there. So folks, that if you have not had an opportunity to see a demo of the system, I encourage you, Patrick encourages you, to get back with your business coach that you're working with here at ABS. They will schedule a demo with you. Now, that does two things. It helps you understand what you're able to do and how you can help solve all those problems that the doctor was faced with, as we mentioned earlier. Plus, it kind of shows you how we go through a live demo as if we had your doctor on the call as well. So take advantage of us doing these demos for you. We would love to be able to do that. But taking it even further, because we're talking about everything about cash flow here, we're really talking about other parts of the solutions that we have here. Patrick, you want to talk a little bit about ChoicePay as these bullet points come up here?
Yeah, ChoicePay is another service that you can offer to the doctors that reduces the patient debt. It lets the patient be in control of how they pay out their balances. That gives them greater satisfaction because they're in control of it, you see. It's an online system. They log in and they actually increase and set up what their payments should be and how they want to pay the doctor. So we never send the patients to any kind of collection agency or anything like that, and they can do all of this through the patient portal that I mentioned earlier that's built into our system.
Absolutely, and we talked earlier, way at the beginning of the webinar, that the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, is this is poised right for that, because it's creating high deductibles I mean, really high deductibles. Imagine if your deductible was, $8,000. You can't pay all that at one time. However, the solution for choice pay helps the doctor and the patient to come to an agreement and says, look, we'll pay it out through here through choice pay. That's what this whole system is all about. And again, you can kind of see it through here, that it gives the doctor's office and the patient a place to log into together, and they get signed up through there, and that information flows back and forth and making sure that the doctor gets paid as well.
Yeah, now here's the electronic medical record system. We call it EMRX. And of course, folks, this is incredible because it is completely easily customizable. It's 100% integrated with our iClaim system. And I think Eric is going to that slide next. I'm not sure.
Actually, we're going to Quick Collect. That's the next one right there.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's one I'm behind, aren't I?
I think you're a few slides
okay,
behind.
So
go ahead.
Here's what this is all about. Quick Collect is different from choice pay in that this is for patients that are behind. They owe the doctor money. And usually a doctor will turn that over to a collection agency, or they'll just write it off completely. Either way, it's not a good solution. We never send them to collections. We increase the patient retention, and it's 2 times the average industry of the funds that are recovered. In other words, a collection agency collects about 14%. We collect a whole lot more than that. It's web-based, and it's detailed reporting, so folks, you're never calling anybody. This is not a collection. It is a collection system, but it's automated. Just put the name and address in and push a button, and they get letters in the mail that encourage them to make those payments. So again, we collect a whole lot of money for doctors on this, millions of dollars each year that the doctors would not see otherwise. They would just, write it off again.
Yeah, and this shows a little bit of charts here of what normal collections agencies, where they're going to be, gross revenue recoveries, collection costs, and then the net recovery. But folks, you can see here that we've got a much higher recovery than that of collection agencies. Collections agencies do not do well for doctors because it ruins the doctor-patient relationship. But with Quick Collect, it gives a bigger return, better return, less cost. It's a great way to help the doctor collect on older debt where patients need to actually pay. So that's what this is all about. As we're kind of moving up to the top of the hour here, we want to talk to you about one other part that is, I know it's on a lot of people's minds, and that is all about the coding aspect. And a lot of people get into this business and they think, well, what happens if I ever need to do the coding? But folks, we want to show you a little bit of the problem right here. On average, 50% of all denied claims are never resubmitted, and that is because they've got wrong codes. And it could be for that the doctor doesn't have any time in the office. Everybody knows they've been to a doctor's office and see the chaos there. Mm-hmm. They may not have the skill, and especially learning going from the old ICD-9 codes now to the ICD-10 codes, which are the diagnosis codes. It's the problem with you in a alphanumeric format, and they just may not know how to recode those old codes. Therefore, we have these two that you see side by side here. Audit Guard, which kind of helps review the codes that they're currently on and helps them to keep from underbilling, as you can see there. And then on CodeWrite, it can actually help increase what the doctor's reimbursements are up to 30%. And this is done by all certified professional coders. You can't go wrong with either one of these two programs that you can have here at ABS.
Yeah, I mean, you could go take a course in medical coding, and it'd take you, a couple of years to go through it, and it's really boring, lots and lots of numbers and medical terms and so forth. But you don't need to do that, folks, when you have a system like ours. Ours is so advanced that the codes are up to date at all times. I mean, literally, these codes change from time to time. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to download and install, and like you would if you had a server-based system that came on a CD. These are automatically updated behind the scenes in our cloud-based system. So anytime you log in from any computer in the world that has internet access, you're looking at the latest codes.
Right. Looking at the latest codes, you're looking at them, and they can come in any different types of reports, and it's basically done by the same group. So we're kind of splitting this here in the middle. Some of this would be the codes that you would need to get back to actually do the billing for the doctors. And some of this is actually analytical type of information that can be done through the Audit Guard, showing what the revenue impact of that particular doctor's office with their coding versus their quality score with other doctors that are in their same kind of type of category. So it does a comparison here. It doesn't. You can look at it. You can see what's audited, what it can be redone, how that needs to be redone. That is just the power as a brand new ABS licensee right out of the box, that once you leave training, you can literally, with all the confidence in the world, go to talk to any doctor. Yes, we do coding. Not only do we do coding, we can audit what you're already doing to help you to make sure that you are coding correctly. We can provide any of these services that you see as the problem, which the biggest problem is you're being able to collect your money.
Right. Okay, Eric, we've got 6 minutes
right,
here.
so,
just a few more slides to go through. And we're going to get to all your questions, folks. Don't go away, because we will get to your questions, but we want to get to some material here for those who have to cut out at the top of the hour.
Yeah, let's go ahead and we're at the bottom of the part here that we want you, hopefully Patrick and I have been able to present to you what the issues that doctors are faced with. We showed this slide at the very beginning. This is not just just a screenshot of something. This is really truly what doctors are faced with. They're just trying to think about, not only do they have problems with just making sure that they're doing the right for their own patients, but then what they need to do for their own families, which is make a living.
All right.
So let's take some time right now here, Patrick, and let's go through as many of these questions, and then we'll get to the last part of some of our slides here. So I'm not sure where you left off. I think I've looked at Amos's here.
I'm at Purnell. Purnell?
Yeah, Purnell.
Yeah. It says, in most cases, are you dealing with the doctor or the front office manager? Well, in most cases, of course, your initial approach, whether it's through direct mail or through direct contact or the other dozen ways that we teach you to do marketing, most of the time, yes, there is a gatekeeper, we call her or him, that sits at the front that might keep you from getting to the doctor. But we learned how to get past that person to the doctor, right? Because believe it or not, they are the only ones that really can make a decision on something like this, because it's their money. It's not the office manager's money. So we teach you how to deal directly with the doctor, but you bring the office manager in on it so that it's partly their idea, their solution.
Of course. Victor, you said, will you help us find clients? Yes, that's what we do. Not only can we help you find clients, but really how to market to those clients. That's the big thing. If you just go out and drive your neighborhood, you're going to find doctors. Every one of them is a potential client, because every doctor are faced with these same issues. Every single doctor. But you got to remember, if you walk up to them and say, can I help you with your billing? We already know that they're going to say no. Why? Because it's an embarrassing thing to talk about.
Right.
We've got the information of how you can be able to address that correctly with the doctors.
Yeah, marketing to doctors is completely different from any other kind of business marketing that's out there, folks. And we go through this in detail in our live workshop, exactly what the differences are and why you have to follow our system. That's why we call ourselves American Business Systems, because we figured out a system as to how to get clients. If you just started your own medical billing business, folks, it could take you months before you actually got your first client. So anyway, let me address the Yvette. She mentioned earlier, I think we talked about this, Yvette. Can you speak to the ease of ABS's system syncing with the provider's existing systems if they just want the billing and not the EHR or the electronic health records? Yes, I mentioned earlier that I touched on the fact that our system is completely compliant. It uses what's called HL7. That's a compliant basis that basically ties systems together. So if the doctor's system, which it is in 99.9% of the cases, is HL7 compliant, it will tie in with ours, yes.
Yep. Patrick, Cecilia is asking you, when will the book be available, the new book?
We're working on that right now. It probably should be in print within the next 30, 45 days.
Good. All right. Lisa asked a question. How do you deal with doctors that sign on with a physician's network billing group? Well, that's interesting, because there are some doctors that do get in with physician network billing groups. What I would recommend is asking what our our people here at ABS already knows how to deal with that. So folks, go in and become an ABS licensee, and we're going to help you know how to kind of weasel through the physicians network billing groups, because that can be a little difficult, because that's a much bigger piece of pie that you're going to have to go after.
Tuan says, doctors are always busy. How can we be able to approach them? What is the ratio of rejection? Well, again, you're kind of touching on the marketing idea, and this is hard for us in this webinar because we've done whole webinars on marketing, haven't we, Eric? You can go out to our website and go to the blog up there under news and see that we've done whole webinars zeroing in on the marketing. Because, folks, that is the hardest part, not only of this business, but any business. How do I get clients? How do I get clients who pay me to provide services for them? So the rejection rate is high for people who don't know what they're doing. But with a system like ours, it's not high because we've taught you how to get past the rejection, the rejectionist, that's what the receptionist called sometimes, the rejectionist up front, and get back to those.
That is funny. Alethea, you're asking the question, why would you think 20 claims a day would require 1.5 employees costing 65, and same could be done with ABS licensee at 31K? It's a great question. What we're having to do is work with basically the rule of thumbs. But you also have to remember that in a doctor's office, if they've got someone doing the billing for that, they're also doing the billing for a lot more than just the 20 claims that might be going through there in that particular day. Because they may be also helping prep in a room. They could be doing so many other things. That's at least what we see in so many cases. However, there are going to be some times, and again, we're talking about average people. We're talking about an average doctor's office. And even with 20 claims a day, and let me say this again, anytime that any of us have gone to a doctor, it seems like we see 20 patients there at the time that we're there. So we're taking such a low number here because most doctors are seeing well more than just 20 patients a day as well.
Yeah.
So this is just average numbers that what we're having to grab. These are just nominal, normal numbers that are across the board from coast to coast.
Amos must be real familiar with the clearinghouses out there because he's listed a bunch of the clearinghouses. There's probably a dozen or more reliable clearinghouses out there, Amos. And he says, which clearinghouse are we using? Well, here's the thing. Our clearinghouse was founded by 2 doctors over 20 years ago, and it's exclusive to you, the ABS licensee. So again, it's built into our system. We don't have there's not a name for it unless you just use iClaim, because it is a part of the iClaim system.
Okay, Amos, you're also asking, is all the software included in the 6% fee, or is it extra? That 6% fee is pretty much that will get you the iClaim, the billing part of it. It's better probably explained by your business coach that you're working with, so make sure to get with them and remind them to kind of go through the percentage fees and if there's anything extra that goes along with that.
Greg says, do you have HIPAA compliant security features in place? Yes, Greg, ours is HIPAA compliant. That is, folks, that has to do with the patient privacy. And of course, HIPAA is very strict about that. So again, for the last 20 years, we've been HIPAA compliant, meaning we follow all the privacy rules, but we also follow all of the backup rules to make sure that the data is backed up. That's actually part of HIPAA, that you never have anything but redundancy in all of your data. And of course, it's very protected and private. Folks, this is as secure as any banking system that's online out there.
Right.
So it follows that plus the privacy rules of HIPAA.
For those that have to leave at the top of the hour, it's already a little bit after. I'm going to put this up here, and then we're going to go back to some of these questions. So, folks, if you type in your questions, Patrick and I will go through them. If you want to stay on just a little bit extra, we'll do as best we can to kind of go through that. But, Patrick, you want to talk about those that are looking to get into business and about the 100% money-back guarantee.
Yeah, folks, we try to make it as simple as possible. Since you can't learn everything there is to know about our business, we tell people, look, if you have the funding and can come down to training, you don't have to bring anything with you. If you come down here and sit through the training, we provide everything for you that week. And you, at the end of the week, don't think that this is the right business for you. You simply ask for your money back. We don't keep 1 penny of your licensing fee. You get it all back. Now, that's only happened a few times in our whole history, but we're so
Right.
confident of what we have that we can offer that kind of guarantee.